Hello. This speaker has been recorded at a meeting of Addictive Eaters Anonymous. For more information, visit our website www.aeainfo.org.
I'm Joanne, I'm an addictive eater. Yeah, it's been good not having a lot of time actually thinking about tonight or what to talk about, because it doesn't give me time to get nervous or put too much thought into it. But I did say to my sponsor later, this afternoon, that I don't really want to share tonight. And it was really about, because I thought that I might get upset, I don't want to sit here and shed any tears. And I know this is recorded, and hopefully it might be decided that actually let's scrap it because you've got the me tonight. And it's funny, there was a conversation about having got your lippy on tonight, because driving here I thought, I'm not like Lynette and, I have the lippy on and get all, fancy up. You've got the tired looking me tonight. It's actually just me, and I'm just tired. And you all know that about my mum with Alzheimer's, and this is when I feel like I'm going to start getting teary. So I have been having some problems with my memory, and I thought, I might be just a little bit paranoid. It's history in the family. So I went to the doctor and I've had some tests, and my memory's not as, for my age, I should be a bit higher and stuff. And I'll get recalled and go back for some more tests. So I don't know why I'm crying. I think it's just because I'm tired, because I'm not really, it's there, and we experience life when we come here and are able to get on in our lives and know that whatever happens, everything will actually be okay. Learn about living in the now and not thinking, in a month's time or a year's time, recall for your memory kind of test or CT, actually right now, right at this time, I thought about Kay and other people that have been through things here in the fellowship. And actually, I've only got now, right at this time, it's coming up 25 years that I'll be sober next week. And for me, that's 25 years of not using any drugs, alcohol, or eating addictively with food. And it's actually 28 years that I went up to Queen Mary as a family member, not knowing that food was an addiction, not knowing that I didn't drink normally either. I used drugs, alcohol and food all together, right from my teenage years, right through until I had my first baby when I was 20. And the drinking stopped, the drugs stopped, and the eating took off. And as a result of that, I had a preem baby, which I believe is from poor diet. From there, I gave up coffee, I gave up absolutely everything. But the madness in my head and the want to eat. I remember before I had my oldest son, I went in for a checkup, and, I put on weight and I was getting bloated, a lot of fluid and stuff, and they told me that I needed to be careful with my diet and what I ate. And I knew that was not going to happen. And I left that hospital, and I remember going home and just having piles of Weet-Bix with milk, with piles of sugar on top. I just knew that I could not watch what I ate, no matter what anyone told me. My eating continued, through just to get worse. And along with the eating, the mental side of it was really, really hard. I spent a lot of time, all my life I knew that something was wrong with me. I wanted to be different. I wanted to be like my friends. I had lots of family, good family, and I had lots of friends. But it couldn't take away this inner loneliness that I had. And I actually that loneliness never went until I came in here. And I didn't know why I had that loneliness, that it was within me. And when I heard, it was actually Leonie that shared the first time that I think it was the first or second time that I came about this being a disease of loneliness. I just was relieved, and I knew that she knew what I was experiencing and what I'd been through because of those words. And, I had always thought that my day would be a fantastic day if I didn't eat much. If I could stay on a diet, a calorie counted, I knew every single calorie and everything. I'd try and hold off from eating. I'd walk my kids to school. The whole time that I'm walking my kids to school, I'm thinking about the calories I'd burn off. How that if I hadn't eaten, that would be really extra good because I would have been burning off all of those calories. I'd try and hold off, but actually I couldn't. And then when I started, every time thinking I was going to have one of something, and I might have had one, but I kept on going in and out of the cupboard and just eating. And that went on for the rest of the day. I just didn't stop. I just kept on eating. And I felt sick. I ate to the point that I felt sick. I'd give it a little bit of a break, and then I'd go for it again. And just the remorse and shame around that eating and not knowing how to stop, not wanting to be fat, but still not being able to stop doing what I was doing. And then, of course, my ex-husband would come home. Kids would come home from school. I wouldn't be pleasant because I'd be in a mood. I wouldn't be pleasant to my ex-husband when he came in. I remember there were times when he came home from work, I was either in a very good mood or, well, not really, in an okay mood, or very angry. My kids had to walk around like they were walking on eggshells because it was just tense. They didn't know whether they were going to say something or do something that tipped me off. And if they did, I could fly into a rage. And rages looked like, I have pulled curtains off the walls, I have smashed things, I've taken to things with a mop. Just like, I had this beautiful vase that my godmother, my auntie, gave me for my 21st birthday. I smashed it in a rage. And she's not with us any longer. I had things that I really, really loved, and I smashed them in anger. And I never wanted to be like that. But no matter how much I tried, I went to anger management courses, I went to self-esteem courses, I went to a hypnotist, I went to groups, I tried affirmations, I tried lots and lots of things, counselling, but nothing could take away that anger, that want to eat, and the feelings of how I felt about myself. And then I came here, and when I was up in Queen Mary, one girl up there talked about this fellowship, said it was people that ate the way that I did. Actually, no, that's not true because I didn't tell her how I ate. She I don't know, she just talked about this fellowship. And I was pregnant up there at the time. And I didn't think that it was abnormal thinking that it would be fantastic when I go up there pregnant because somebody will manage the food and I won't put on any weight. Of course you're meant to be putting on weight when you're pregnant. I felt so self-conscious that people were looking at me everywhere I walked. I was sneaking down to the shop and having a newspaper in my arm and hiding things in that newspaper to get back to the room so that I could eat alone because I thought that everybody was looking at me thinking, oh my God, look how fat she is. It was just like that. That's an example of what it was like every single minute of the day. So there was no freedom in that, and it was really sad because I used to go to bed at night crying at night thinking tomorrow's going to be different. Tomorrow I'm going to be different to my kids. My life's going to be different. Things are going to change. I'm not going to eat that way. I'm not going to yell at the kids. I'm not going to do... Pretty much I wanted to have really good self-esteem and be like a saint. And it wasn't going to happen. And when I came here and learning about this fellowship, I was absolutely amazed that people were talking about what it was like with their eating, the thoughts that they had, the way they felt about themselves. I was on the scales and off the scales. If those scales weighed light, I felt better. And I thought that was the answer and that was the only thing that was wrong with me. Well, no, that's actually not true either. I thought I was seriously mental, that I had schizophrenia, but if I could be thin, those things would come right. And I just seen that it worked in people here. People were just free, they had a smile on their face. They weren't struggling every single day. They weren't crying and sad. At my first few meetings, I just remember sniffling through the whole thing, just crying because, one, with relief, but most of the time with sadness because I didn't know how not to be the way that I was. And I kept on eating, but I kept coming. And I kept on eating because I wasn't completely beaten, although I thought I was. With the food, I thought I was, but I still had some buts and still had some more attempts. But I kept on calling my sponsor, I kept on coming to meetings, and I kept on getting down on my knees and praying to a God that I believed in but lost faith in and thought that it was not going to work for me. Because I had no other options, I kept on coming. And one day, which I didn't know it was the last day of my eating, but I remember standing in the kitchen. I remember my little kids, I had 4 kids, little kids in the background, playing around. It was like I was in a tunnel and I could hear their voices, muffled voices in the back, because I was completely focused on this food that was in the kitchen, on the bench, and I did not want to eat because it flashed before me that life was not going to change, that it was always going to be like this and nothing was going to change for me, that I wasn't going to be able to parent my children, that I wasn't going to be able to get through a day without yelling or smacking or doing something or feeling the way I did. And I wanted what people had so badly. Like, I just wanted it so much. And I had that obsession to eat so much that I was crying for the fact of wanting it, but crying for the fact of not wanting it. So for the first time, and the only time, I actually never ate that food on the bench. And I talked to my sponsor. That was like that obsession, that overwhelming obsession that was with me all the time was completely removed. Like 25 years ago, I have not had that obsession to eat at all from that time. I mean, that is completely amazing that I believe my higher power has completely removed, because I could not do it. I absolutely could not do it. So no matter what happens, if I forget you all, it will be all right, it will be okay. I'm not going to worry about it. And I laid down to have an x-ray today because I've got a mucked up spine. Relax, release. That's what I did. And, if I wake up tonight, that's exactly every night I wake up. I think of you and I think of that. And I know about, meditation stuff, but those words, those simple words have stuck to me, for me. And it means I think about you a lot. But it's helped me so much through so many things. So, thank you.